We're talking about growing through acquisitions today, and I have a gentleman here as a guest with me. He's a quiet one. I've known Jock for 6 years now, and he's been very, very quietly acquiring his property management empire. And finally, I just put him on the spot and I said, Jock, can you come out and speak on the subject of buying and or selling a property management company? And to my surprise, he said yes. So Jock McNeill with Alliance Property Management. Jock, how you doing?
I'm fantastic. How about you?
Look at you, man! Like in the wind, your hair in the wind, whatever's left, right? And
a lot of hair moving in the wind. Yeah.
Well, let's get to it. So, what is your advice for those who are looking to buy a property management company or sell one, maybe?
Well, 2 key words: due diligence. I think it's really important to know what you're getting into, especially on your first one. We've done 6 acquisitions in the last 10 years. And it's important to find out what type of a portfolio you're buying, making sure that portfolio is in line with the company that you have. You don't want to have a company that's all nice high-end single families and then buy a portfolio of C-type properties. It's just not going to be a good cultural fit. You also want to make sure that those properties that you are taking on are in good condition. They have historically good stream of income attached to them. If the company that you're buying is someone who grew 50% over the last year, those aren't seasoned accounts, so they might not be worth as much as, say, a client that's been around for 5 or 10 years.
Very good. Let me ask you this. How do you check on the quality of the homes they manage? Do you go look for them? You look for rent roll? What do you do? How do you check that out?
We start out with getting a rent roll. Obviously, there's usually some sort of a non-disclosure agreement attached to that. We get the rent roll, we map them out, and we get in the car and we drive around and check them out from the outside. An interior inspection isn't practical. You do that within your first 2 or 3 months of taking over the book. But doing an exterior inspection can tell you a lot about the care of the home.
What about, Jock? What about the transaction itself? Are there anything people need to really pay attention to? Any red flags or green flags otherwise that you gauge as you kind of come to the negotiating table?
Well, I like to make sure that the accounts are seasoned. So kind of like what I mentioned earlier, you don't want to buy brand new accounts because they might not stick around. They might be somewhat transient. I try to make sure that the income history is there. So you ask for 2 to 3 years worth of records showing management fee income, depending on how it is that you're purchasing. And if you're purchasing it based on just the management fee income, that's obviously very important. And then also, try and make sure that the company that you're buying it from has a good reputation. Because if you're buying from someone that has a bad reputation, sometimes the clients will be pretty bad also because they've been poorly handled and they've been okay with it if they've stuck around for a while. So I also try and look for situations where we can add value. Perfect example, if you've got someone who's using an old school property management software and you are using a cloud-based property management software, that's where you can add value for those clients, and it makes it really a big incentive for them to sign up with you when you take over.
Gotcha. And of course, you'll be speaking at the Property Management Growth Summit because that's what you agreed to.
Yes, looking forward to it.
It's going to happen on January 25th through 27th in 2017 in Florida, West Palm Beach. And Jock, one last question, man. How do you put a value on a portfolio, or does it depend on those qualities that you mentioned? Does it usually? So here's, I guess, how do you put a value, and then also does the seller usually get what they ask for?
Well, I'm not going to give it all away because I want people to look forward to the talk. But there are several ways to value a portfolio. One is just straight income stream. You're taking over an income stream, so you want to look at the value of that over a period of time. The other is profitability, and if it's profitable and you can go in and create better systems that might save you money on operating that book of business, obviously that's going to create more profit for you. So there's some value there. But that's really what we look for. We're typically looking at management fee multiples.
Gotcha. And one absolute last question, I promise. Do you sunset the brand and put it on the alliance, or do you usually keep the brand, or how do you deal with that?
Well, usually we put them under alliance unless there's some real value in keeping that brand. The most recent acquisition we did was in a market where we didn't exist, and that brand had been there for 30 years. Ooh. It was important to us to keep that brand. Rent Napa Valley, it's a great brand. It's got a ring to it. It had a great website that was existing. So we use that brand there. We use Alliance Property Management in Sonoma County where we are. I think it's unique to every situation.
I got you. Well, if you guys want to know more from Jock, and he's going to have a partner, Mike Catalano, between those two, they probably bought over at least 15, 20 companies over the last 6 years. That's going to be a ride, man. I look forward to it. Jock, thank you for your time.
Looking forward to being in Florida.
Yes, sir. We'll catch you in January.
All right. Thanks, Alex.
Thank you.